Hi, fans of high quality entertainment. I think we are live. Are you live, Tom?
I'm live. Are you live?
Joe, are you live?
I think I am.
Yeah.
I am. It's hard
Well,
to tell, but
hopefully
I think I am.
we'll see some comments. I know Joe's having a bit of a problem seeing
Yeah,
comments.
yeah. I'll watch it on my. I'll monitor it on my phone so I can see
Yeah.
all the comments
Well,
properly.
any comments, like if I put this up, you should see it here, right?
Yeah, on
Well,
screen
then
I
that's
Yeah.
see
what
it.
I'll
Sure,
do.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, cardboard head guy.
Okay. Yes,
Yeah.
I don't see any of those comments, but I'll get over there. I'm in
Yeah.
private chat or something. I don't know. I can't or something. I gotta get. Anyway, sorry to make this a little awkward at the beginning, but we'll
Well,
be all right.
well, the main reason we're here, is, of course, is to talk about the Beatles and the third
Who?
anniversary of McCartney 3, right, Tom?
Oh, I can't talk about that. I'm not.
Well,
You're not. I'm not
I
on
don't
the.
have much to say about
Yeah,
it
you're not
either.
on the
We
list.
gotta write up a contract for that. It's just it's a whole legal thing. We can't talk about
Yeah,
that.
we're not special. We don't love Paul McCartney enough.
That's what it's about, right?
Mm,
Come on. This man Tom loves Paul.
Yeah.
Big
I don't
time.
know what you're talking about.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Merry Christmas,
Happy
everyone.
Christmas. War is over. I hope
Hmm.
so.
Should be by now.
And reviews. Hello.
All right, I got the
So,
comments on here, so I'm watching them here.
so Tom, what is new with you and your channels, and what's upcoming?
Well, actually, tonight, this is like a little appetizer before tonight. Even though Canadian Studmuffin is a main course,
Of
let's
course.
not kid anybody here. But tonight, talk more talk. Yeah, one of my two Beatle related shows is tonight, where we're going to discuss the 50th anniversary of Band on the Run, do a little Denny Lane tribute, and discuss our 5 favorite Beatles related releases of the year 2023. And my other show, Two Legs, a Paul McCartney podcast, we just had legendary DJ Ken Dashow on, and he talked about some of his stories of Denny Lane, his career as a DJ, the Fest for Beatle fans. We had a good, fun conversation with him, and we're gonna maybe do a little conversation. I'm not gonna say what about, but it's gonna be a controversial, fun conversation for next week's episode. I'll just leave it to that.
That's cool. Yeah.
Now, see, Beatley Tone's here. Now it's 4 o'clock.
Beatly Tone,
Yes.
I'm sorry, but you're late, so you
No,
have to
he's
leave.
early.
I'm
You were
not.
early.
It's exactly 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
Hello, Larry,
he's
Joe,
right.
and
Larry, you
Tom.
started a little early, a few minutes early.
Hey, buddy.
Are you subbing? Are you subbing for Matt?
I guess you
Yeah,
could say that,
somebody
right?
has a
'Cause
million
Matthew
Rolling
Street
Stones
was supposed to
questions.
come
Well,
on, but he
that's the
couldn't
wrong
make it.
live chat.
Yeah.
What's everybody's favorite McCartney album of the three solo ones? I love all three, but I just listened to this one last night.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard it in probably a year, and I've always loved it, but it is just so good. And at the time when it was released, it was a bit of a shock. Like it was totally not what anybody was expecting, right? So it took a few
Right.
years to really appreciate it.
Oh. Well, my favorite is
Yeah.
probably 3 now. If you talk about the 3 McCartney ones, right
Yep.
now 3 is my favorite, but that's because it's newer. Newer, I said, not new,
Yeah.
and more fresh to me right now. I think so. Right now, that's my preference.
I'd probably go a slight tie with 1 and 3 right now. 2 being, and I still enjoy 2. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think there's some really good
I
stuff
enjoy them all,
on
everybody.
2.
Nobody get upset out there.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Anyways, I can't differentiate them. I love them all equally. I
Yeah.
can't rate them. You just can't do it. You can't do
And
it.
they're
I'm
all
sorry.
so different too, right?
No, I'm teasing. Yeah, no, they are really different. And I mean, and like you said with that first one, I mean, here is a shocker, right? Where he comes out with an album that's almost all, outtakes or demos, and
Yeah.
then you got 1 or 2, which will become McCartney classics, maybe arguably the best song he's ever written on the album right out of the gate. So it's a weird album, but it's still good.
Yeah. And Tony?
Yeah, I'd go with 3. I think it's a more complete album than the others. The others have got, the others have probably got, well, particularly one has got more sort of classic songs on it, like Maybe I'm Amazed and Every Night. There's probably nothing as good as that on 3, but I think 3 probably flows better as an album.
Well, I'll go along with
I'll tell
that.
you what. I'll tell you what, though. I was spinning the recent, reissue of McCartney 3, and Find My Way came on, and I tell you, I am still so stoked to hear that
Yeah,
song every
me
time
too.
I play McCartney 3.
Mm.
Find My Way, for me, is an instant McCartney classic.
Yep.
I agree. I love it. That should have been a hit single, but then again, these days maybe not. But
Yeah.
in the past,
Favorite Beatles movie? If it includes the documentary Get Back, it would have to be for me Get Back.
Wow.
well, if it's just the regular movies, I'll go with Help, followed very closely by Hard Day's Night. Hardly anything separating them, but Help is my personal favorite.
I kind of like the adventure spy aspect of Help,
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to go with Help.
It's fun.
The right answer is 1. I go with 1. The first album. Wow. McCartney 1.
Yeah, that's the
Hey,
right answer. All
everyone.
right.
Yeah.
Say one.
Yeah, the
I
other
don't.
2 don't have Maybe I'm Amazed.
That's true, but one song does not an album make.
No.
Yeah,
So
but you know what?
Well, there's more than
Two
one
had
song
a
I like.
two had a massive #1 hit on it, even though it was the live version. But I mean, you still have a great classic on 2 as well. So.
Yeah. Tony, what's the topic here tonight exactly?
You didn't say your favorite movie.
I don't know.
Tony, what's the
Is it random Beatle heads talking nonsense?
That's really pretty much what it is.
I like that one.
Anything goes with Beatles solo, pretty much, I guess.
2 has Temporary Secretary, so I love that song.
Mm-hmm.
Hard
I like
Day's
that one
Night
as well.
for me. Round Appreciate. A Hard Day's Night. A Hard Day's Night and Yellow Submarine. Did you guys like Yesterday 2019? I thought it was okay, but
I enjoyed it, but it wasn't. I wouldn't call it a great movie, of course, but I did enjoy it for what it was.
Yeah.
It was okay.
It was okay. I mean, the first time you see it, and the first time you see that shocker of that surprise twist, wherever you want to call it, then the second time you see it, it doesn't hold up as well. But I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
I do love McCartney too. I
love McCartney too.
Yeah.
McCartney 2 is one of my least favourite Paul albums.
There you go, boys and girls. Send all your hate mail to Tone. Easily Tone.
No, well, that's a lot of people would say that, right? That's not.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's like one of the ones too where it's grown in stature over the years. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember when I was first discovering McCartney in the mid to late '80s, and people were telling me, "Oh, McCartney 2, just lifting their nose to it."
Yeah.
But I enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, when it came out, I bought it back in 1980, right? And even I was like, it was like mediocre or whatever. It's like I wasn't. I liked it maybe a bit, but it wasn't. But now I love it.
Yeah, it took me a few listens back in 1980.
Yeah.
A couple, 2 or 3 listens, and then I really got into it, and I enjoyed it.
I imagine seeing all your faces. The faces you guys made the first time you hear.
No, that was cool. It was fun.
Yeah.
Favorite solo album. Now, this question has never been asked before.
What?
That's an impossible answer for me.
If I had to choose one, I would still go with Paul McCartney's Ram.
Yeah. I don't want to have to give it to Paul, but I know right now Ram is probably my favorite solo album right now, at this point. But, yeah, I have to say that.
I'm still giving it to All Things Must Pass.
And so am I.
Oh, I missed Rob here. Sorry. I received my McCartney 3x3 album, but haven't opened it yet. Which version do you do each of you like best?
I'm not going to answer that question.
Oh, okay. Well, I like the swirl version. I call it swirl now. I was calling it splatter, and I was told it's a swirl. It's not a
It's a
splatter.
swirl, yeah.
Whatever it is. Come on, you. There's no word for that. It's just a mess. Let's put it that way. But anyway, that's my favorite one out of the three.
I kind of liked this. I wanted the swirl,
Yeah.
which I didn't. I didn't get. I got the sector one, which
Yeah.
I'm growing to love, and I don't have swirl envy anymore.
Yeah, well, they're all
I got
all
the-
pretty nice,
yeah.
I think. But
Yeah, I got the Simon Says one, which looks really cool
Yeah.
as it's spinning on the turntable.
Is that you're calling it Simon Says? Is that this one?
Yeah.
That one.
Yes.
yeah,
Yep. That's the one right there. Yep.
And in case
I think
Paul
it's called
McCartney is
Simon.
watching, I don't have the vinyl.
You don't have to be always exact all the time, Joe.
No, I'm
Sorry,
doing it
okay?
because you do it. I'm doing it because
Okay,
you do
you
it.
don't
Like with-
know. No.
He's the
no,
one,
no.
folks, that told me it's
No,
not a
I'm
splatter,
not.
it's a
Joe is
swirl.
the one. It's a swirl.
So I'm just giving it.
What is your favorite moment from the Get Back documentary? I think the first time I watched it, there was one point when they're performing live, they're on the roof, and it's just, I guess it finally just hit me. And John and Paul are kind of do this jump at the same time, like they're together. And I just got teary-eyed, just got emotional with that segment. But the whole documentary was amazing. What about you guys?
It's tough. I actually can't come up
There's
with
a lot
one
of great
more.
There's
moments.
so many.
A lot of
So-
great moments. Yeah. I mean, that hug was at the
Yeah.
end of part one. That group hug with Paul,
Mhm.
John, and Ringo. Very, very moving. Obviously, the Paul comment, or was that Ringo or Paul that said, now there were two or something like
Oh,
that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that was two. And then the real big, like, WTF moment is, just Paul coming up with Get Back right out of thin
yeah,
air.
that's mine. Yeah.
yeah.
Because it reminds me of that story of the of Drink to Me that Dustin Hoffman,
Right,
where
yeah.
they challenge him to write a song
Right,
on the
song.
spot, and he starts writing Drink to Me.
Yeah,
And Dustin Hoffman says to his wife, "Look, he's doing it. He's doing it.
yeah,
it."
but you know
And
what?
that was it. And that's what that was like, wasn't it?
But you know what? Picasso should be a co-writer on that, because all he's doing is taking his quotes from the newspaper and turning it into a
Yeah,
song.
I
really.
wish they had gotten a better
Yeah.
song out of it because I'm not a big
Yeah.
fan of that song.
Yeah, same here. I am not the
Sorry.
biggest fan.
But
of
I got to say, my favorite moment, the more I think about it, probably the Yoko Jam was probably the best moment to get back. You know what I
Oh.
mean? No, I'm not serious.
I think when Ringo farts, that's
that's
the highlight.
that's a pretty good moment. But there's some good moments mentioned there, And the first time I saw it, I was not so much anymore, but I was like surprised by the whole thing with John and Paul having that private conversation. That was like a moment.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't,
With
I
a
didn't
flower,
expect
with
that.
the microphone in the flower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah.
Now, I don't know if I really want to talk about Paul McCartney's junk. That's kind of personal. Oh, you
yeah,
mean the song.
yeah. I don't know.
I like
I
the
don't know
song.
about that, but I like the song.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a photo out there with him showing his junk, but we won't go there.
Maybe I'm amazed every night. That would be something. The two junks plus Teddy Boy, clear winner.
Clear winner.
yeah.
I mean, the instrumental junk is just fantastic.
Tom, being a diehard McCartney fan, do you like Driving Rain more than? I was actually listening to that today. Just for me personally, I think it's a very good album, but it's just too long.
I would say when it first came out, I did. I was drinking that Kool-Aid left and right when it first came out. These days, after 21, 22 years, it doesn't really do much for me these days. There is some really nice moments on there, but I think you're right, Studmuffin. It is a little too long.
Yeah, it's long, but it's still my choice of least favorite Paul album of his original material. There's other stuff I'd put under that maybe, but of his original material. However, we revisited it once for an episode of Talk More Talk, and I like a bunch of songs on there. I don't despise it anymore, but I do think it's too long, and for me, probably the least for me. of his album, studio album, original stuff.
Yeah,
Plus,
McCartney
that's the only. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I saw too experimental. No, that's been Paul McCartney
No.
throughout. Even in the
No.
Beatles, he was experimental.
Yeah. You know what I'm going to say? Tom and I know each other well now. It's okay.
It's just, it's just
okay.
that some experiments work better than others.
Yes, true. That's very
But
true.
yeah,
Tom.
but no,
Yes.
I love it. I love it. And you know what gets me when people say, "Oh, wildlife isn't slick enough, or it's too experimental." McCartney too. I say you got plenty of other slick,
Yeah.
run of the mill albums by Paul like that. Let's
Right.
have different stuff like McCartney too or Wildlife.
Good point. Good point.
I love Tug of War.
Well, I mean, that's the Band on the Run, I guess, is the safe answer. I mean, it's a song he plays just about every song. He's played just about every song live, or has he played every song live? I think he probably has played every song live from that album,
Mammonia?
except
Mammonia. No?
and Helen Wheels.
The underrated Mammonia.
Mm.
I don't love it.
I'm not even
but I
going to
don't
say
hate
it. I'm not even going to say it because I always say it wrong.
Oh, stop. So do I, right? Remember, was it Twickenham? I said.
I know. Yep.
Least favorite Beatles album. Least favorite Paul McCartney album. Least favorite
boy.
Lennon album.
Oh,
Least favorite
geez.
Harrison album. And least favorite Ringo album.
Can we all do this?
Go ahead, Joe.
Least favorite Beatle album. Well, we're talking again officially released. I get to
Yeah.
pick Hamburg, Germany. No, I'm going to pick the Yellow Submarine album. Least Beatle. Least favorite Paul McCartney album is the Russian Choba BCCCP, whatever it is. That's at least favorite Lennon album. Do I get to pick stuff? I can't pick stuff like the experimental albums, right?
No.
Then it'll be Milk and Honey. I'll pick the least favorite Lennon album. Harrison album. Oh wow, it's a tie between Extra Texture and Gone Troppo. I'm gonna go with Gone Troppo. And least favorite Ringo album, Old Wave. There you go. I did it.
I knew you were going to say that. Yep. Tone?
Thomas, you ask hard questions. Okay, Beatles album, Yellow Submarine. Paul McCartney album, the Russian album, I think. Yeah, Russian album. John Lennon, I guess, sometime in New York City. George Harrison, Extra Texture. Ringo, I'm going to go Sentimental Journey, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Beatles wise, I mean, I guess you gotta go Yellow Submarine, unfortunately. McCartney would be. I'll tell you what, I really can't stand Pipes of Peace these
Yeah,
days.
that's mine.
And,
Yeah.
Lennon sometime in New York City, unfortunately. Harrison probably somewhere in England, and Ringo. Oh, probably Ringo the Fourth.
Yeah. He may be off his meds. Yeah, stuck inside the four walls.
I was thinking that. I was thinking that. That's what
How
this
about
is.
when Ringo admitted that he farted? Yeah, that was a highlight.
Yeah, well, you don't usually hear that.
And George Martin was classy, and he just stayed there, didn't he? Just stayed there.
I
He
wish
took it
people
all
would
in.
realize
That's
that
about the most Ringo talked in the whole documentary.
it's how long something feels. I mean, I could watch a 4-hour movie that doesn't feel 4 hours at all, and I could watch a 60-minute movie that drags. So
Yeah, Off the Ground. I like that.
me too. I like it. It's underrated in my book.
Yeah.
The less said about that one, the better.
Plastic Ono Band for me.
I got to go with Imagine, even though these days the Imagine album is so overplayed and hyped, I think, but it's probably my favorite one.
Yeah. These days I'm going Mind Games.
Plastic Ono Band for me.
Yeah, I like Press to Play.
A lot of people these days really like it.
Yeah.
It's gotten I think it's got a better rep these days. But it's still one of my least favorites. Maybe right next to Driving Rain.
I never play those myself.
No, I'm not a fan of cover albums.
I really
Yeah.
like Run Devil Run. I mean, I think it's a better listen to me than Russian album.
I agree. The question I've been debating, do you consider these his canon, part of his canon albums? I mean, his name is on it, right? Just
Yeah.
because it's not an album of
Mm.
all new material doesn't necessarily make it, part of his regular,
I think
canon albums.
Yeah.
I think if rock and roll is part of John's canon, which I believe it is,
Yeah.
then
Right.
these
Yeah.
have to be.
And I could have picked Rock and Roll before, which slipped my mind for my
Yeah,
least John
yeah.
Lennon album,
Mm.
just because
Mhm.
I mean, I like it, but it's just not his stuff. So maybe I'll put that one
Yeah.
as least favorite and give a pass to Milk and Honey. Actually,
Right. Well, I mean, even stuff like the orchestra, the experimental stuff, all the classical stuff. I'm starting to believe now that that's just it's all got Paul McCartney's name on it,
Yep.
right? Except for obviously the Fireman. It should
Yep.
just all belong in one canon of.
oh, I agree with you. I don't even know there was a question on
Yeah.
that. Like it was even a
Yeah.
question of it. But
Because when people rank his albums, they never rank the classical or
No.
experimental stuff
Yeah.
in there.
well, you
That's
could,
what
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't, I didn't listen to it.
Yeah.
So-
Well, no, because we didn't either. But now I'm starting to think that maybe that stuff deserves respect as well.
Yeah.
It's really difficult though to. I mean, personally, I don't include them, rightly or wrongly. I don't include them as part of the canon. But it's really difficult if you're doing a ranking. It's difficult to rank a classical album against a pop album.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You could specify. That's what I kind of did. I did a few ranking videos. I say, just whatever you call them, his rock albums or his pop albums, his regular album, his original. Well, I can't say original material because that also includes some of the classical,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know what I mean. You can make a distinction as to what you rank in here.
So what's better, Sometime in New York City, or I think most of us would say
Come
Walls
on.
and Bridges.
Walls and Bridges.
But I
by
like
a
Sometime in New
mile.
York City.
I do like Sometime in New York City. I think it is what it is, and I like it.
Yeah. Band on the Run is great.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You can have a cliche album as a favorite. He lies.
Listen, there's
Yeah, I don't.
yeah.
I don't
Do I do I hint some sarcasm in there?
Come on.
I just listened to Milk and Honey. I don't know. I don't find Double Fantasy depressing to listen to with what happened back in 1980, but Milk and Honey, I guess it's because John had passed when it was and it was released a couple of years later.
Well, there's some. First of all, I like Yoko's stuff on both those albums.
Yeah.
And as far as John on Milk and Honey, he just he didn't have he wasn't able to really complete it the way he wanted or anything. But I think there's some good songs on a few good songs on it. But
Fair enough.
oh, that's tough. It's tough. Close it with "Hey Jude." The Beatles guy said, "You were great. You were great."
You were great.
Well, that's a good
Yeah,
last
but
song.
George would want to play some lead guitar on Hey Jude.
Yeah, you're gonna have to let that happen. I don't know.
I say you open with "Hard Day's Night."
Yeah. Trying to think. I would have to think about that. Like, what would really be I don't know if I'd go with that. I don't know.
Mind Games, Plastic Ono Band. Yeah, Paul gets dogged for his lyrics a lot, but what do you all think are some of his best lyrics lines? Well, for albums, I think Chaos and Creation in the Backyard is very underrated. That's when he started to be a bit more serious with his with his lyrics, and not kind of pushing for a hit single or whatever. So that's one of my favorite albums, actually, of his.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here, there, and everywhere. Good lyrics.
For No One.
For No One is just fantastic.
For No One.
I love it. Yeah.
Let It Be, maybe.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I don't think he necessarily gets dogged for his lyrics, because mostly his lyrics are good. He's just come up with a few that are just not, and people kind of remember those. I'm thinking about things like The Other Me and things like that.
I knew that was going to come up.
Like, even for a song titled "Biker Like an Icon."
Oh,
it's
I
like,
love that song.
that just bugs me. Like,
It's a clunky title, but it really. I do like the song. Though,
I really love that song.
Well, I should say I like the chorus. Whatever the chorus or whatever, when he sings "Biker Like an Icon," that part I like.
Right.
Like
There's times where he lets us into his personal life, and and something like Wanderlust. Even though at the time you probably didn't know what it was about. When you discover what it's about, it's maybe it's silly, but I think that's one of his best lyrical.
How about
pieces.
Little Willow? There's another one, maybe.
Yeah,
Willow's great too. Yeah.
Favorite Beatles cover song. I love the Yes did a cover version of Every Little Thing, and just totally changed it and made it a.
They turned it into a 15-minute prog.
Yeah.
It's always hard for me to pick my favorite one because I don't love any of them. I mean, some of them are okay.
Yeah.
But I don't look. I love any of them really a lot.
Since the moment I heard it, it's been my favorite Beatles cover, and it still is my favorite Beatles cover, and that's Joe Cocker's "She Came In Through the Bathroom Window."
Oh no, I was going to say.
Yeah, the Joe Cocker songs are good now. I didn't always love them, but
with a little help from my friends, I would say Joe Cocker.
Skelter, Eleanor Rigby. Hey Bulldog. Paul's all-time worst lyrics altogether. Yeah, but it's
a kid song.
He's writing a kid song, a simple song.
I mean, I always put that song down. I name that as my least song sometimes. But what he's doing in there, I get what's being done. Like you said, So just I like it. I like it in the Yellow Submarine movie.
Let's go
for a drive. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah,
Let's go there.
Some
again.
people really, when that came out about those lyrics, but who cares? It's a simple.
I care.
Simple lyric. Just like "Hello, Goodbye" isn't the greatest genius.
You know what it is, Larry? It's hard to. I always say I don't know why sometimes one size doesn't fit all. I don't know why.
Right.
Like you'll say, "Oh, I hate this song. It's it's like a stupid kid song." Then another song I like because it's a silly kid song. I don't understand. So.
There's times where we just hold him to a higher standard, right? And then when we hear like a song that's just silly to us,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
3, 4, 5, yeah,
yes, I got it.
Don't use the coda of "You never give me your money." What is it?
Yeah.
Don't use that.
Yeah.
People always say, "What about that?" And they say 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I say that's different. That's a coda. They're fading out. They have fun. It's not part of the regular song.
I'm just probably getting the basic one, 2 CDs or whatever.
Yeah, I ordered the 2 LP set and the 2 CD set.
Yeah, I'll get this. I'll get the LPs and the CDs. It's 2 disc sets, whatever. But then there's the one about the Obi.
Yeah.
Right. You have to get the single version to get the Obi strip.
How do you feel?
I know that's really annoying as well.
I want the Obi. I love
With a little luck. It's such a.
I loved it when I was 16 and it first came out. It reminds me of that summer when I heard it. Love it.
Not now, he wouldn't.
He never would have, as far as we know.
Yeah.
That's a sore thing with me. Yeah, as of the point before he died, he would. We could bet he would, but we don't know what he would have been thinking these days.
Right. On Talk More Talk, Ken Michaels always likes to point out that there was an interview with George Harrison, I think in late 69 or early 70, where George was saying that it would be selfish of us to say that we're done or not expect it to continue. After there were rumors going around that the Beatles have broken up. So I don't even think they were really, ready to admit that it was over.
Perhaps.
I've never heard the Family Way soundtrack.
It's not bad. I mean, people think it was all McCartney. McCartney just wrote a couple little things and a couple bars, and then George Martin took it and ran.
Yeah.
I would disagree with that.
Yeah. Well, don't know. There you go. Good
No, I
album.
mean, off the ground has grown on me.
Off the ground, better than Flowers in the Dirt. Oops.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, but it's got some moments on it.
Well, look, I mean, every time that you start off with as a Beatle, and you just got all these classics, behind you, how do you judge somebody from that? I mean, when you have a John Lennon in your back pocket, it's just like you got to separate the two. I think. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'll tell you what. When I was at MoFi Stadium in LA, when I saw McCartney live 2 years ago, and he was playing Oba Di Oba Da, no, there's not one person making fun of that song.
Yep.
And there was like
I really enjoyed the
20,000
song.
plus.
I enjoy the song, but sometimes I'm like, oh, Paul. You know what I mean? I like it. I love it. It's a great song. It's so good. But at the same time, sometimes you're listening to every time I listen to the White Album, I get a rocking back and here's this song. Get really cool, Dear Prudence, or whatever Glass Onion, yeah. And then all of a sudden it comes on. Ding, da, ding, ding. I know John did the beginning. The beginning of it. It's like la di da la di da. I'm like, oh, I mean, I love it. I'm loving it, but I still think, oh, it's so embarrassing in a way. So.
Rob, open up your copy of McCartney 3 and tell us which version you got.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
How many times can Paul release Band on the Run? As many times as he
right? Tom and I think
many times. Right? Many times as he wants. It's already his most reissued album. Period. I mean,
just don't buy it
reissued.
if you don't want it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's a cash grab.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: when after Bill Gates released his 100th billion computer, and he's already worth $1 billion, should he just say, "Hey, look, I'm worth $1 billion now. I should stop making computers"?
Yeah.
You know, I saw the Godzilla movie, and I heard that it's so successful they're putting it in theaters for 2,600 more theaters. Cash grab.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
It is. It's just ridiculous.
It is.
Honestly, the comments that people were making on my video about about this McCartney thing. The only people that shout out cash grab are people that don't want it. I don't get it. I don't get why people are so bothered.
Yeah.
Because some of them want it. They can't resist it. I can't get it because I don't have the money, so I'm mad.
I like the remix of I Am the Walrus. It doesn't bother
Joe,
me.
but you know what? The difference
between
Larry, but Joe, see, the difference between you and them is you just admitted why, Joe. They will never admit why.
That could be, and I'm not saying it's everybody. Obviously, not everybody wants it, but some people don't. But this thing about I Am the Walrus, again, I know we're on the same page, Tone and I, for the most part. But I played it through the headphones. I have no problem with the mix. The only problem I have is the last 35 seconds or something. That's the only problem I have is the radio stuff at the very end.
Mm-hmm. I think that's an answer to the best cover, right?
Emmylou Harris is just a fantastic singer.
Yeah.
No matter what she does.
Across the universe.
I didn't care for that at all.
Well, I'm glad to say something decent once in a while because I've always criticized these things. All I know is when it came out, we rented it. My nephews or my family, we rented it, and I enjoyed some of the songs on it. I don't remember a thing about it otherwise.
I can't remember it.
I like his what's that record store one?
Oh, Amoeba, the Amoeba.
Oh
Yeah,
right.
That is
Forgetting
really
about that. That's fantastic.
Really
Yeah. Wings Over America for me.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Can't go wrong with that.
I don't know what happened there. What happened there? Oh, jeez.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's also important to keep releasing stuff like Band on the Run and everything. To us, it seems so insane, but to keep having it for newer generations, to keep it out there, you're
It's
supposed to do that too.
and that's the good point, Joe, because it's not the 60s, 70s, or 80s anymore, where you can go into a record store and finger through and find just about any album you want, right? All these albums are pretty much out of print these days, so you have to keep releasing them for newer generations of fans.
I haven't had the nerve to see the Sergeant Pepper movie.
I've got the DVD, but I haven't. I've seen probably most of it, but I've got the DVD now, but I haven't.
Used to be on
watched it.
cable TV when I remember way
Yeah,
back in the day, and I
right.
remember catching segments of it, but I never sat down and watched the whole thing.
I remember seeing it at the cinema. It's one of the worst films I've ever seen. George Burns. I can't remember who he was now.
For the benefit of Mr. Kite, there will be a show. Does he sing Mr. Kite? I think. I don't know.
Probably.
Maybe
Last Sunday might have a poor melody, but lyrically, I just love it lyrically. I love all the references to other Beatles songs in that one.
No, I just think it rocks better. That's all. Not that the other one's not
Yeah.
supposed to rock. I get it. It's not a rock. I get it. You know,
Yeah,
I love
Lovely
Obladi
Reed is
Oblada. I
great.
really do.
He's playing Lovely Rita live, isn't he, at the moment? Oh.
I don't know anymore.
Yep.
True.
So does Revolver.
No, I was joking.
There's sarcasm. I thought.
The rumors are going to spread on the internet now.
Oh, way to go there, Studmuffin.
You know, I hear they're making more of these cups. Cash grab.
Haven't they sold enough already?
Yeah,
Yeah,
why
but
put
they're
more
bringing
cups
out
out?
that green one. They're bringing out one with a blue stripe around the middle,
Yeah, I don't know.
like
Can you
like an exclusive.
They're gonna give it a swirl design, right?
Mm.
Oh, too funny. Unbelievable.
Is it really? Is it really?
That's a song I
Oh,
love
shoot.
and I hate at the very same time.
Every year that
I like
song makes $500K to $1 million for Paul McCartney.
Wow.
Does it really?
Talk about making money while you sleep. That's
I made a mistake here, and I realized one of your videos about the burrito. The guy got hidden because of the bastard burrito, but then I realized that's a legitimate thing that you had. So I unhid him. Don't worry, I'm ready for you guys. I'm ready.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's right, James. He sure does.
It's Grant's Rock Warehouse.
I like Wonderful
Picture
Christmas
disc.
Time. I gotta confess.
There is a picture disc of Band on the Run. You know, that's one area that I'm surprised he hasn't entered yet, is because he did do some picture discs in the 80s. I'm surprised with all these reissues that he's been doing, you know, over the last 15 years or so, 10, 15 years, that he hasn't gotten into the picture disc.
Well, it's not
realm.
It's Capital. They're the marketers. You know, they're the ones.
Well, yeah, but where is he? But where is he? Even though it's Capital, where is he selling the new McCartney 3?
What do you mean?
Where's the only place you can buy it?
Oh yeah, I know, on his website. Yeah.
What is it under? Everybody loves it. Yeah.
Paul said John liked Obladi Oblada on Howard. I've always said, I just
Wait a
think
second.
sometimes John was jealous of Paul coming up with these melodies.
I think
easily.
so. But I
Yeah.
also sometimes I thought he was a little. At times, it was a little too. To him, it was a little granny-ish, funny. I think, but at times, I think it was jealousy. Later
Yeah.
on, but this thing here, I don't remember him saying he liked it, did he? Because he just come in and started. He did the introduction to it when they couldn't start it. But if he did, well, I thought "Here, There, Everywhere" was the only song John liked. Paul.
Hmm.
Even though I know that he supposedly,
Yes,
uh,
that's
you
right.
know, he loved Hey Jude, so I don't know what that's all about.
Well, I guess there's a difference between liking something and getting
A
complimented on
compliment.
something.
He probably
Yeah,
complimented him more.
yeah.
Poor,
Oh,
poor
yeah.
John. Okay,
The cash grabs. There you go. That's a great name for a band.
I think that's a great name. Yeah.
I think it did.
Well, it
But
reached more of a younger.
which one does? Yeah, which album does relate to a younger audience? You think?
I think that let's put it this way: they related to younger audiences got them more than if they hadn't put them out again. I guess
Mm.
probably not many, but now and then reach a young audience. Well, that's no contest.
The
John's
better
song
one
for me.
is yeah, it's the John
Ding
song is
dong,
the
ding
better one.
dong.
There you go. I want to be Santa Claus by
Yeah,
Ringo Starr.
yeah.
Yeah, I keep forgetting. I gotta listen to that album again.
Wow.
Yeah, they are. Oh, that makes sense.
Look how old we are.
Oh, thank you
Thank
for
you.
the compliment.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for cheering me up.
No, I mean it. Though it's always a compliment to me. I'd rather be older than younger today.
He's lying.
Okay.
He's lying. I
lying.
think
We
this
can't
is a guy.
argue with you.
Hey.
Your
This is
choice.
a guy I had to block for once, for not because of that stuff, but not for playing around.
Oh no, I love Paul's vocals on Helter Skelter.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
bet
No.
John wished. Yeah.
And,
well,
and again, as much as I love John, you ain't gonna do "Oh Darling" better than Paul.
yeah.
You
Once
know.
again, I think it was a bit of jealousy there. Not that Paul wasn't jealous of John too.
No,
Sometimes,
he
but
doesn't say any. Well, this is John either. John didn't say nothing either.
Hello.
Manny Ambrosi, the King of Chaos. Oh, whatever. Yeah.
I think the term granny music is insulting to the genre of vaudeville music. Paul does super well. Well,
Come on, Henry, don't
Vaudeville and
act
the
like you're a
Beatles?
big don't act like you're just some historian on vaudeville music now. Come
That's
on,
Henry.
man.
We know Henry.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, Henry, it's like, but vaudeville itself is an insult to the Beatles. Even though I think it does work good on the White Album, they have different styles.
The thing is, it was all right to say that back in 1969. Now most of us are the age of grannies.
yeah.
That's why we like it.
I love grampy
Yeah.
music.
Yeah, I'll take any of that granny music over today's tripe. Oh, I don't even love that album as much as everybody loves it. To tell you the truth, sorry. I like to see Rock Show to see them do it, but
Maybe I'm Amazed, I think, is my favorite.
maybe I'm
moment.
amazed.
I don't think I've got a least favorite moment.
But I haven't heard it in a long time.
Yeah, I mean that was a nice touch.
Yes, Joe's gone. It worked. Oh, he's back.
No, I know you don't want me here. No, I'm just kidding. I was asked to come here.
So, Tony, I see. Is your arm better now?
Yeah.
It's getting there.
Can you do this?
I can do that.
Yeah.
I can get this up to about here at the
Yeah.
moment, but I can't
It's
get it
pretty high.
up like that.
Yeah.
So I've got to see a doctor this week, and I'm hoping he'll sign me off to do some physio and stuff. But I've been leaving the sling off for a few hours each day to try and
Right.
strengthen it a bit.
Yeah, good. And what's new on your channel and what's coming up?
Christmas is new. Having a few days off, maybe. I don't know. I might do one more before Christmas. Maybe a couple of Christmas ideas. But and then we're back on it again.
Yeah.
For the new year.
And Joe, What's new on your channel and coming up?
Well, first of all, my channel is called Mean Mr. Mayo, if you don't know already. Not mustard, but mayo. Mean Mr. Mayo. And I don't know what's new on the channel right now. There's nothing right. They got me at a time when they're not putting anything up there too much. And what's coming up is Talk More Talk tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern. If you know, tonight, that is the 18th of December. And yeah, I don't know what's coming up. I'm totally bankrupt of ideas for the moment.
Will I?
Yeah. Well, Memory Almost Full is the album that got me back into Paul McCartney after kind of ignoring him for many years. So I love the album.
I like the album. I just played it again the other day in the car, and my girlfriend was there, and it was over. Well, she was snoozing through some of it. Then it's over, and she goes, that wasn't one of his better albums. I'm like, well, I like it. It's okay. But I say Ram for me.
It's
Flaming
definitely
Pie, Back to the Egg.
it's definitely his best album since Chaos and Creation. Venus and Mars for me.
Oh yeah, Venus and Mars. How could I forget? Yeah, it's one of my favorites too.
Thank you, Ricardo. I think you told me that. Yeah.
Maybe.
Wait a minute. Am I reading this right?
I don't think it matters, does it?
You mean the order of the names?
Mm.
No, it'll always be John, Paul, George, and Ringo. First of all, just like Abbott and Costello or Gilbert and Sullivan, it's always John, Paul, George, and Ringo. Flow like Mark Lewison said, flows off the tongue, really good.
Yeah.
And it's the pecking order. John was first, and he just Paul to join. It's come on,
Right.
I'm gonna go there.
But what do you mean by Paul? Paul now told us Paul, led the way. I mean, it's not nothing new that he was kind of like the band leader in the studio. I mean, yeah, he made a lot, maybe more suggestions than other, but that doesn't take away from what John, George, and Ringo did.
Well, I told you, this is one of my pet peeves, and it always will be. And some people think I'm crazy, and I'm not. This, poor John. John's forgotten. And it's all about Paul, especially to young people who think Paul was the Beatles. And that's a problem I have, very, very much.
I think it's a bit of a game of two halves, really, because I think John was definitely led the way in the early days, and I think Paul took over the mantle after Brian Epstein died. And
maybe, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I think if Paul hadn't have done that, then they wouldn't have got half the stuff done that they got done
That's true.
That's true.
Right, that's true. But then who was the leader in that conversation? With the mic, in the Get Back. I mean, it was John pretty much being, the adult in the room for that one, right? I mean, it was John. Paul wanted to do the concert, but then Paul kind of got cold feet, and it was John that convinced him to get on the roof and let's do it. So, I mean, I think there was instances where John was still, the leader. Even though, thanks to Paul, we got the White Album, and to some extent, Sgt. Pepper, Abbey Road, Let It Be.
Don't forget, in the early days, when the Beatles were together, before they made it, and they were going to give up, and this was like not going well, and John goes, "Where are we going, fellas? To the top." What's that? The topmost to the poppermost. Johnny used to lead the cheer. So, come on, he was the leader in the early days, anyway.
Well, they would have been really good if they come up with the songs that they came up with on the first solo albums.
Yeah,
would have been an amazing album.
Yeah, I think eventually they'd have to hit a Turkey album. Eventually, if they made too many, eventually they'd have to hit like a Harlem Shuffle album. No, Dirty Work. I meant Dirty Work. The Stones, Dirty Work.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the name of the album? Dirty Work.
Dirty Work. Yeah.
Oh, Works. Okay.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah, Dirty Work. But eventually they would have did mediocre albums like the Stones, I believe, after a while. And I like the Stones.
Yeah, the Beatles did it all.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love the White Album. Might be my favorite a lot of times because it is versatile. Yeah.
Yep. I like Driving Rain. I like it a lot. Like I've said, it's just like 2 or 3 songs too long. Favorite prog album. We're just gonna talk about the Beatles in this chat. So happy new beer.
Hey, that's a good idea.
Mhm.
Beers are a great idea right now.
Avant-garde. Yeah. Paul was well.
Oh, I
John
know
was
what's
too.
going on. I know what's going on. Now I get it. Hi, Martin.
Okay.
How you doing, Martin? Maybe not. Maybe
Yeah.
not. But I get it. Just trying to yank. I get it.
Well, he did claim that he's got 50
Oh
other
yeah.
ways to comment.
But their personality comes through.
I think he just wanted to do that with the songs that he mainly wrote. Like Yesterday. It's understandable that why he would want that to be McCartney and Lennon. But again, they had the deal, and you stick with the deal. Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
Yeah. Even I wonder about that.
Yep.
Yeah. Of course, that's why. Yeah. And that's a great thing. I've always
Yeah.
saluted him for that. Always thought it's
And I kind
fantastic.
of wish George kind of toured more after the Japan tour, because he started incorporating Beatles music with that tour, right? I mean,
Yep.
it would have been cool to see a US version of that, or a US leg of that tour, to see, him, maybe he would have been the first to incorporate it.
Sometimes, other times, there's some artists that think it's more important to do stuff like what a Shame Mary Jane had to paint at the party
I do
and
not like
Revolution
that
9
song.
than just make a
Mm.
cheap old knockoff commercial
Oh.
pop hit. Some people feel like that. What can I tell you? I think John eventually wanted to be more commercial in his solo career. I think he would have liked to have more success. I think.
I agree with that.
Well, I got to be fair. Again, every time this comes up, because I got to be honest. I mean, again, I'm defending John. I like John, but the thing is, when you think about it, some people say, and it may be true, that the Quarrymen were the Quarrymen, and when Paul joined later, John and Paul founded the Beatles together, brought
Mm.
George in, and you know what I mean. Sometimes I think that maybe the Beatles were both of them. Founded by both of them.
Well, let's just say, I mean, do the Beatles exist if Paul doesn't join the Quarrymen?
Paul is,
Mm.
I mean, Paul. I think Paul was
Mm.
destined to go on to his great stuff
Mm.
if he never met John. Anyway, possibly, who knows? I don't know about John so much, but that's interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
And also, why would Billy Preston consider John boss Beatle in like 1990s if there wasn't any leadership that John didn't exclude? Goes to
yeah.
show he wasn't as absent in 1969 as history likes
Well,
to.
do me a favor, Marcus.
Yeah.
Do me a favor, Marcus. Take good care of yourself and eat healthy. Stay around. We need you here. I need you here because you're the only person, or maybe one other.
John.
Oh, Ringo.
John.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you mean by funny? I mean, there's
Funny,
funny
haha.
moments. I mean,
Yeah,
Funny,
yeah,
haha.
funny, haha. I mean, I just love it when one of them is like, one is sitting down talking, right, while the other one is standing up smoking behind him, and they start, putting out their ashes on top of their on top of their on top of their head.
Ringo and John to me are the fun. George,
Mm.
the one who's the least funny. Paul to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Paul tries too hard. Paul tries
Yeah.
too
Yeah.
damn hard.
George's humour was very dry, wasn't it?
Yeah, George is funny
Mm.
too. John and George. Yeah. Stuck inside these four walls. I have one. I have Alpha
Yeah.
Omega.
No.
I have two of them, I think, actually. But I made a video of it. If you want to check my channel, it's an old video.
Sorry?
That's about what I was talking about before, or
No.
maybe not. But maybe not.
Yeah, John's anthems were commercial, like Imagine, Give Peace a Chance. Yeah.
Give Peace a Chance. It's just the same thing over and over.
But
and
they
over.
were commercial. But then again, you also alienate, fan bases when you do stuff like that. I mean, as much as peace is, as much as a statement that give peace a chance is, that's not what everybody wants to hear.
Well, and Imagine, I take exception with. I think that's a great song, a great commercial song that should have been a big hit,
Right.
regardless of if if you say it's political or whatever. Not
Right.
really. That's just hope. That's just a general hope for the world to get along and everything. That, to me, that's not as heavy-handed as Give Peace a Chance or say Power to the People, right? Stuff like that. It's just, hey, everybody, let's all be as one and get along. That should have been a big hit. I mean, number one hit. But I think because John's reputation, people did not like John and Yoko very much, and I mean, and he had a bad rep, and I think that's why.
Yeah.
It's my opinion, anyhow.
So in 2024, is that the year that we're going to get the archive edition of, I had been waiting and waiting and waiting years for the box set of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't have it in my CD collection. And I just it was like, forget it. I got, this one is from, I don't know, 30 years ago.
It's the 93.
Yeah,
you
93.
brought up three albums. Larry brought up London Town, Chaos and Creation in the Backyard, and Memory Almost Full. All three of those I played recently in the car, and I don't those three, and no other ones.
Yeah.
And yeah. So I want that London Town. Nobody asked us yet. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Can't believe it. And Back to the Egg also I want. Well, that's the funny thing, though. There's a lot of talk from him later on. They're talking like that a little bit about commercial, like the '74 and stuff, and
Well, he didn't record as much.
He did a lot, but he did a lot of no. In the time he was alive and active, though, John, he did a lot of stuff. I mean, I wouldn't go every year. 70, he had Plastic Ono Band. 71, Imagine. 72, every year. Sometime in New York City. 73, and blah, blah. 74, 75. He had one every year. Every year.
Right. You sprinkle in a couple non-album singles as well.
Yeah.
Funny how, like I amuse you. Goodfellas.
Yeah.
The best movie of all time.
Oh, my. And that was fine. Well, you gotta let people have their life too. It's whatever you want to do, right? For Paul, it's all about the music. Let the music. Hey, great for you. Some people, John wanted to get going with Yoko and his activism and stuff too. It wasn't just about the Beatles all the time. I'll cripple you. That's the only line I could. And that's so forced. But there must be a good line in there. You got me thinking about now.
Yes, that's right. 25% each.
Some people divide it differently. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But there is some other funny lines. I just can't think that fast.
Yeah, that's a good one. Funniest, John, Ringo, George. Poor Paul.
Poor Paul.
I think that's one of the last things we ever need to say about Paul.
At least now.
But he has a sense
now,
of humor. It's just that he's not that funny.
He's on top.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think Imagine was not for number one, was it?
Not while he was alive.
It was in the UK
later on, yeah,
but only after John died.
Yeah, after
directly after John died.
I meant it at the time.
No. I think when it was, because it was never released as a single in 1971.
Not
here.
in the UK. Not in the UK. Right.
In 1975, they put it out to promote Shaved Fish.
Yeah,
And I think it got to number 5, I think. So
that was
Give
pretty stupid.
Peace a
not putting
Chance
it-
was actually a bigger hit than Imagine here on original release, if you like.
I can't listen to that long. Yeah, I like Mary Jane's song. I have fun with it.
Yeah.
I remember when we first found out we were getting like a new Beatles song on, and what was that on? It was on Anthology 3. And I was like, oh, I can't wait. And then the local news played a segment of it, and I was just like, what the hell is this?
Yeah,
What's the new Mary Jane?
but it's of the same school as You Know My Name is to me.
Yeah,
In my mind, it's just
right. Ringo made some Beatles music too.
Yeah.
I don't know. He wasn't too liked back at that time. I don't think.
He got the attention because he was a Beatle, not because he was John Lennon. I think he got the attention because he was a Beatle.
Isn't it a pity? New commercial.
I haven't seen it.
Yep.
I agree. I think all this, John versus Paul is just unsavory nonsense. It doesn't mean anything.
Well, I hate it, but it seems to be inevitable a lot of times, which I don't like it either. But yep, he ripped off Stu Ball, I believe. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, yes, just like starting over was commercial. This is true.
Oh yeah, he loved being on the charts just like anybody else.
Yeah, I said I think at times he did.
You always got to remember that just because John says something, it doesn't mean that John means what he said.
Oh, I think he means it at the time.
Yeah, but then he has a rethink, doesn't he?
Like me. Yeah.
So he took a 5-year break from releasing music. He was still writing and demoing new music. So
Every year that, like I said, from 70 on, that he was involved in music, he put an album out. People don't do that anymore, really. Even Paul doesn't do it either. That's not saying anything against Paul. I'm just saying. So somebody said before he didn't have that. Well, he doesn't have that many albums because he died, but he has a lot of albums for the time that he recorded, 70 to 75 and 80.
Fish and chips.
Jelly babies.
I know.
cheese and cauliflower and cheese.
Kale. Ringo likes kale, and I know that John said he liked a Whopper during the Dennis Elsis interview when the Whopper Burger King commercial came.
We know he loved Dr. Pepper.
I know somebody liked Jersey Mike's.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's not. I can't blame that person. Good. Yeah, I can't blame you.
Yeah, really. It was only about 5 years of John Lennon's solo music.
Oh yeah, well yeah, because he was dead. Yeah.
He's a real mixer, Paul.
Yeah, and he talks about all that kind of stuff on the train. I got to remember what it is.
No, I
never would have happened if George said no, they wouldn't have done it. And the other three wanted to.
I think it ended perfectly the way it ended.
Yeah, I'm happy the way. I have no problems. Had they gotten together one time, and it would have been great. Maybe it would have been a great. Maybe they would have done one show or something. It would have been great. Who knows? Or maybe it would have been a flop.
Oh, very cool.
That's cool.
Cool.
Well, I'm living here in Allentown. That was another one. That was right. That wasn't a big hit either, right? I don't
I
believe.
think it was a hit in '72, wasn't it?
I don't know.
That might be true, right? It wasn't. I don't know. Was it really popular in the 70s before his death?
I don't remember it being that big.
Yeah. He's very clean.
Yeah, that's good. He gets to give that line.
Mm.
Well, that's very respectable. Number 3. I just think it's just too bad. I guess you could say, well, a lot of songs could have been number 1, and they only made 2 or 3.
Oh yeah. Like Tony never laughs at my jokes. You'll notice that. But Tony doesn't have a sense of humor.
Oh.
Yeah, number 3. And the album went to number 1.
But like I said, everybody was buying John's records. No, I didn't say that.
Okay, that was kind of funny, Henry.
Hey. Words of wisdom from Henry.
Mhm.
Yeah. Starting over, Imagine War is Over in the top 5. Wow.
Mm.
What a price to pay.
All number 1, I think. Starting Over went to number 1. It was originally slipping down the charts before John was
Yeah.
killed. It went to number 1, and then I think War is Over was next, and then I'm not sure about War is Over actually. Imagine got to number 1, and then Woman got to number 1. I think
No, I made
Mm.
what made 2. I'm going by. You're talking about England?
in England,
Yeah,
yeah,
because I know Woman was 2 in the U.S.
it got to number, and then Insanity took over, and Woman was knocked off of the number 1 spot by a bloke called Joe Dolce, who had a hit called "Shut Up in Your Face."
Oh yeah.
True story.
A more meaningful song.
Yeah.
Shut up in your face. I
Yeah,
gotta
it was,
find
you know
that.
what? John would have liked
It's like
that.
I think he was an Australian Italian comedian,
Yeah.
and the song kind of went, "What's the matter, you?
Yeah.
You're such a
Hey,
what do you think
I'm
you
not going to get
do?"
into these questions, Henry's questions.
Mm.
Well, we know Henry. We know Henry from our movie discussions.
I know he wouldn't be making as many albums as Paul has made.
well, we don't know that really. We
Yeah.
don't.
Who knows? Based on, well, I don't know. Based on how he was doing 1 a year, so I don't know. Mhm.
I don't think they're dismissive of Pepper at all.
No, I think only George really is because he's the one that's on it the least. I mean, Ringo's all over that album.
Yeah.
Ringo learned to play chess when they made it.
Yeah. Speaking of
Yeah, but
storms, sorry,
Yeah.
Matthew Street was supposed to join us, but he had some power out issues today.
Yeah,
So he'll be on some other time. But
yeah, he's got a storm
Here
going
he
there.
is.
We've had a storm here as well.
He had some power pop issues.
Yeah,
Power pop.
That's a whole nother thing. Mm.
Yeah. It's so true about today's music and the artist. You know, some artists like there's like five years between an album or more.
Mm.
yeah.
That's
I mean,
one question I would like to ask Paul if I ever had the opportunity. Is like, because it's like, you could sometimes release 2 albums in 1 year or 1 album every year. I mean, I would love to ask him. I mean, do you think you could continue? You think you could have continued that pace, throughout your career? Do you think you could still write an album a year? I think you could.
I think so. Don't all jump at once.
You know? Oh, no, there's some great sound bites from George talking about Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that is a rumor that somebody was spreading on the internet about Ringo only being born with one foot. I don't know who started that rumor.
Help me, Lord.
He had 2 feet, but only wore one shoe. Put them both in the same shoe.
I don't think it was as often as everybody says.
My friend was
Was in his
secretary team and said Paul was hilarious.
There you go. That settles it then.
Yeah.
I think he's hilarious. I think he's hilarious too.
He's a good-natured guy.
I tell you, it's rough, man. It's rough doing this
Yeah.
sometimes. Comments.
Which song are we talking about?
What are we talking about? He has his moments. Let's put it. I love the song "Only Mama Knows."
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
one of his great
Great.
rockers.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm torn on Imagine. I get the concept, but not every
Oh
word
boy,
of
here we
rock.
go. Yeah, well, now people are analyzing it to death, and I don't think it's supposed to be analyzed that much. If I analyzed every word, I'd be like, oh, I don't know either these days. But you know, just the general idea, everybody like kind of being equal and getting along. Being equal, everybody was one. That's the general idea of it.
Tony, this question is for you.
Is it have or has?
Depends what you.
What's the rest of the sentence? And I'll tell you.
Do you say have or has?
Yeah.
Keep getting ads coming up here. Now I know what the viewers are going through.
I'd like to get away from this Paul humor stuff soon.
Well, you don't bring it up. Come on, man.
We love Paul. He's good. That is not a Beatles question. I can't do those anymore because I'm gluten-free. Sorry.
Wow.
Yeah. Coming up video. Crazy that Strawberry Fields is the only UK A-side that didn't go to #1 in the UK or US.
Well, that's kind of different situation because it was a double A side,
Yeah.
wasn't it? I mean, I've talked to DJs about the double A side and how and how they determine, because because Penny Lane is considered the #1 of that single, and it's like, how do you determine what the #1 is on a double A side?
Here, I mean, both songs are counted as being the #1. It would be a, Strawberry Fields / Penny Lane, that #1. But it is crazy, especially when you think that in the UK Now and Then got to #1, but Strawberry Fields didn't.
Right.
Poor John. I know it's true. Well, he sings that, so I guess it's all right.
Has anybody read that Mull Evans book yet?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How
Yeah,
is
oh
it?
yeah.
Fantastic.
We finally read it.
I haven't
Fantastic.
started it yet. One of my subscribers sent me the audio book of it, but I haven't started it yet. But I will do.
It's great because a lot of it, all of it. I mean, it's from his diary, so you're getting first person, narrative, and
Yeah.
throughout the book.
No.
Mm.
Oh, thanks, Woodland.
Happy holidays. Thank you.
Happy holidays.
And
Let's
to
see.
you.
Come on, summertime.
I'd like to ask Paul what the movement you need
It
is
makes
on the
plenty of sense.
shoulder.
It always has.
Me.
I've always liked that line. Always
Yeah.
have liked it.
He
And then
just had it as a filler line, and then John said,
Yeah.
"No, you're not. You're
because
keeping
John
that."
and I think alike in some ways. And the
So-
thing is, it's like your head, like your thoughts, your mind.
Yeah.
Your head is your movement. You need is on your shoulder. You got it. You got it right here. That's what
Yep.
it means. But even Paul did. He said, "What is that? It doesn't mean it. It's like a parrot." He says, "No, it means something if you have the sense to think a little deeper."
Yeah.
I'll go along with that. I do love that quote. My favorite Paul quote of all time.
Yeah. It's not as bad as it was, but a lot of CDs are too long.
Mm.
Well, because you can fit so many, you
Yeah.
can put a double album on one CD for the
Yeah.
most part, So,
Mm.
and that's what a lot of acts were doing there in the late 80s, early 90s, all the way through the 90s, is put jamming as much music on there as possible.
A lot of people say that in England. Britain. I should say, a lot of people say that. I don't feel it here too much in the States as much.
Talk More Talk rocks.
Thanks.
What's it about tonight?
Yeah. Tell us
Ooh.
again.
Two things we got, right,
Yeah.
Tom?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about do an appreciation for the 50th anniversary of Band on the Run. Talk a little Denny Lane, and we'll talk about our 5 favorite releases of the year,
It's 3 things.
2023.
I don't have any Denny Lane prepared, but it's okay. I'll talk about the 2 songs that I think are okay.
And when we're done this live chat, I'll have a link for everyone's channel except for Tony's, unless you give me 10 pounds through PayPal, Tony.
I see.
See, look, I laughed at your joke then.
Oh boy.
Oh, we've gone full circle.
Yeah. I will say for me, Ram, Chaos and Creation in the Backyard, and London Town.
Oh, London Town.
Yep.
High praise.
I'm gonna go for Ram, Venus and Mars right now, and what's the third one I always pick? Oh man, I'm losing it.
Kisses on the Bottle.
I haven't, and it's like it might be well, Band on the Run I'm putting in there, yeah, because I always diss that because I'm tired of it, but
It's a
really
great album.
those 3 I'll put in there. But then I also like
gonna-
Flaming Pie and New
Yep.
to fill out my 5, believe it or not.
I'm gonna go. I'll go Electric Arguments, Liverpool Oratorio, and Twin Freaks.
you just want to be different.
I'll go. So, number 3, Band on the Run. Number 2, Ram. Number 1, Venus and Mars.
Yeah. We have the same 3, right?
Mm.
Oh. Yeah. I don't know anybody saying it's the
No.
worst. I never heard that. There's lots of stuff out there. I don't know what's what anymore.
My finger has all been healed since last May, but thank you for asking. I'm glad your finger's all healed.
What have you been doing? Never mind.
That's for another live chat.
Yeah, that's another.
John makes a lovely brekkie. That Kurt looks very, very familiar.
Yeah, he's from the. He's you know who
Yeah.
that is?
Yeah, from the
Claudio.
Imagine
Yeah.
movie. Yeah.
Yep.
It's a catchy track.
Yep. I don't know. I have those. I never played them.
It's fun.
No.
Again, I just played. Well, I played the first one, not the second
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Well, I played it all the way through one of our long car rides. The first, I haven't played it in years.
yeah.
Yeah. The third one would just be a lot of the same songs over and over. I think. You know that. Let me do 10 times or something.
Yeah, Ringo loved Heinz beans as well.
Yeah.
Took them to India with
Yeah.
Yes.
in a suitcase, no clothes, just
Suitcase.
loads of cans of beans.
Yeah, that's right.
Ringo should do a
Mm.
Heinz Beans commercial.
Memory almost full. Band on the run and Ram.
Yeah, I love
That's a
that
big-
Memory
that's
Almost
a
Full is getting recognized.
Yeah,
think
it's a
that's
big
awesome.
shout for memory almost full, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's punching, I feel.
Even if it does have gratitude on it, but other than that,
Don't they crack up during And Your Bird Can Sing too on one of the
Yeah,
Anthology 2, was it?
oh, I
Yeah.
hate that. Oh, I hate
Mm.
This is kind of Beatles related. Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
during doing some catering, the years that I worked at catering, we you know, whenever we do like a UK band or something like that, we get the Heinz beans and we do the prepare an English breakfast with the mushrooms and the beans and the tomatoes and stuff like that. So yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
Did you ever cater for Guns N' Roses?
Yes.
Oh my
actually.
God. I'm so
Yes.
sorry.
Don't be.
So do you find that the bigger bands are more like compared to the less popular ones are more polite overall or
Oh no, there've been some really polite. I mean, actually, when we did Guns N' Roses, Axl Rose actually came in and thanked us. You know, for
Yeah.
they said, you know, he said how much he enjoyed, you know, the food and you know what we were prepared, you know, for his dressing room and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
you really don't. We really haven't encountered many, you know, rude acts.
Yeah.
Maybe we just caught everybody on the good day. I remember when we did Jethro Tull, though, he was very, you know, standoffish and to himself. That doesn't mean he was rude. He
Yeah,
just, I guess, maybe just wasn't in the greatest of moods that day. You know, Ian. What's his
Anderson,
name?
he's a bit up. He's
yeah,
a bit up himself. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but still put on a great show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get to watch the shows also?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, if
cool,
I
yeah.
want to, yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can stay and watch the shows too if I wanted to. I mean, there's times, you know, after a 15, 17, 18-hour day, I mean, you don't want to.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
Wasn't that question that was Penny Lane, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yes, Tony, that's right.
Release Me was.
Mm,
I don't know. It's a tough call between Release Me and Penny Lane. I got to be honest with you.
Yep. So I think that will wrap it up because I'm getting hungry. But
Yeah.
one more time, first with me, Mr. Mayo, tell us about your channel, and I'll have a link for everybody's channel below, of course.
All right. I have a channel that's predominantly Beatles, but not only Beatles. There's other stuff on there as well. And you can check it out. Mean Mr. Mayo, as Mean Mr. Mustard. And I also have a movie channel that I promote called Mayo's Offbeat Movies, which is unusual, more unusual type of movies and, you know, the mainstream kind of things. But I have mainstream too, now and then.
Cool.
And that's that.
And Tom?
Well, we have, or not we, but I have two channels. One's called Talk More Talk, a solo Beatles videocast that I do with my good friend Joe Mayo and Kid O'Toole and Ken Michaels. and that's all about the solo Beatles. Sometimes we'll talk Beatles when there's a release of an art, of one of their albums, the anniversary albums. We've delved into those, but it's basically solo Beatles. Then Two Legs, which I have the shirt on right here. I mean, which is basically mainly a solo Paul podcast. We do talk Beatles from time to time. We just did a Magical Mystery Tour with Steve Matteo with his books that he just wrote, Act Naturally, and yeah, and we have a great time doing that. And I also do a little side project with Joe and Beatley Tone here called Stuck Inside These Four Walls, which is on the Two Legs YouTube channel. So check that out.
Very much like this.
Yes.
It is very much like this.
Yeah.
And Tony, I apologize, but we've run out of time. I just had to do it. I'm sorry.
Better luck next time.
Go ahead, Tony.
So my channel is called Beatley Tones Beatles channel, and as it sounds like it is, it's a Beatles channel. It's predominantly a Beatles channel. There is a little bit of other music that I do, but yes, do come. If you don't know it, come check it out and subscribe and all that sort of good stuff.
Yeah.
Be great to
I'd like
see.
to thank everybody for
Tell us about your channel, Canadian Studmuffin.
Yeah.
it's the greatest YouTube channel on the internet.
And it is high quality entertainment.
It is high quality entertainment.
Mm.
And thanks for all the questions. I'm sure I missed some, but I didn't do it on purpose. And so, yeah, thanks everyone. And be sure to check out everybody's channel. Bye.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Bye.
having us.
Yes, thank you. Thank
Bye.
you.